All right, Mr. Skidmore, we're going to be doing a posture assessment on you today. All right, so I'm going to take a top-down approach. So I'm going to start with your ears. We're going to go posteriorly first. So that means I'm going to look at the back of you first. All right, so I'm going to go with like ear level first. And that's just to make sure that your head's not tilted one way or the other. Just stand like you normally would. Arms to the side of that. Go. So your ears actually look really normal. You don't have much lean at all. Right there. Alright, so your head and neck tilt, like you don't have any head and neck tilt, which is really good. No real cervical rotation, like I don't see any of that. That just means like if your head's like tilted one way or the other, like just standing still, like that's an issue. It's like if you're watching TV from like a weird angle all the time, or your like computer desk is like angled a little weird. All right, so now we're going to do a cervical spine alignment. So basically, I'm just checking to see where your vertebrae line up. And just making sure that everything's straight. You don't have any kind of scoliosis right there, you're good to go. Okay, so your shoulder height. Alright, so your shoulder height is, honestly they're about even. Your right one looks like it's a little bit higher than the other. No, you don't have to fix it right now. Like, this is just like me just making notes on you. Do you ever like carry a book bag from one side to the other? Or is it always on two arms?
I'll switch it once now and again.
Okay, that could be a possibility what that's from. Or if you're more right hand dominant, especially like you dribble a lot more with your right hand, that could cause it too. Okay, so the muscle tone on both sides actually looks really normal. Like it looks really even, both sides. Gotta get you some more. Okay, so now we're looking at, they call it scapular abduction or adduction. It's basically like whether your scapulars are pulled away. So here's your normal. They feel pretty even. Pretty even on both sides. So that's good. That could cause a little bit of like winging in your scapulars, which should turn into a big issue later on. Alright, and there's no real rotation of your scapulas either. Like they're pretty solid where they are. So that's actually really good. Thought it was gonna be a little bit worse with you, but it's good. Okay, so now we're gonna do the thoracic spine, which is basically where your rib cage is all the way down. But I'm gonna see when you're trying to feel your vertebrae just to make sure they're all in a line all the way down. Guess what? They are. Looks really good. Okay, so skin creases, you're not very rotund, if you will. So you don't really have any skin creases except for like maybe right here and right here. But they're honestly at equal height. One's not pinched more than the other, so that means you don't have any kind of like, basically like your rib cage is sitting down on one side more than the other, which is good. Okay, so let's see your upper limb position. Just trying to make sure that one arm isn't closer than the other. So that feels actually perfect. You might have your left arm might be out just a little bit, but other than that, like it looks really good. Alright. Now your hand position. Your hand position's not bad. Not bad at all. Then we're gonna go to your lumbar spine. I'm just gonna make sure there's no like scoliosis right here. So your lumbar spine goes from basically right below your rib cage all the way to your pelvis. So I'm just gonna make sure that those are in line. You know, like curvature of it is abnormal. Actually looks really good. So far so good, Skid. Say what?
I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Alright, so now we're gonna go for, basically I'm gonna palpate where the top of your pelvis is. So it seems like it's about right. sure that's even. Hey, pelvis is actually really good. Really level. Okay, on to sheet number 2. So now we're going to make sure you don't have any pelvic rotation. It does not look like you do. Alright. Your buttocks crease does not look like it's any higher or lower than the other, so that means your pelvis is sitting in the same spot on both sides. There's no rotation. It's actually looking good, especially for after having practice and right before weights today. Alright, so doing my thigh ball. Just to make sure one side's not bigger than the other, and it does not look like it is. Alright. So this is like the big one for basketball players. This is basically to check to see if you have like valgus knees or basically like bow-legged knees. So basically, alright, so your posture actually looks really good right here. You got both of these seem to be level, so the back of your knee actually looks really level, which means you don't have like one leg that's longer than the other. You're not compensating for one leg being longer than the other. But basically, like valgus would be like one knee being internal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like one knee being like this. You don't have it. You're straight up and down, which is really good. Alright, so now we're going on to the calf bulk. So your musculature in your calves actually looks really, really even on both sides. It's actually really nice. This gave you surprising me. Now we're going to look at your calf midline. So we're just trying to see if basically all the way up from the bottom of your heel bone, the calcaneus right here, goes in line with the back of the knee, and it is a tiny bit off. And I'll explain in a second. Okay, so now we're trying to see if your Achilles tendon goes straight up and down. Right here, what's up, Blake? So right here you have like slight curvature in your Achilles tendon, and that's on both sides. And I believe I know why. It's because whenever we look at your ankle bones, whenever we look right here, you would want those more so turned up. Like now you actually create like a midline, and your Achilles tendons aren't like. You feel a difference right there? But your arches actually look good. Could possibly be a little bit higher, but for the most part, like you're not flat-footed. Your posture for your feet. One thing I would want you to like concentrate on is actually like you're turning them out just a little bit right here. Like concentrate on actually like turning them in. Yeah. Does that feel any different?
That will help with what you were talking about before, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as soon as we can get this posture right here with your feet, and then we can get your ankles loosened up just a tiny bit, so you actually have the ability to shift your calcaneus just a little bit over. That way your foot's not inverted or reverted. Should be good. Shouldn't take too much. Okay, let me snap a quick picture of these real quick. Okay. Now we're going to do it laterally. You're exercise science major, right?
No.
No? Oh. Alright. So whenever we talk laterally, we're talking side view. Okay. So I'm going to get like an overall picture real quick. Alright. So one thing that I can see almost right now, go ahead and stand back again. Your ears are a tiny bit in front of your shoulders, which it's not bad. Like, you don't have to fix it right now. Like, this is stuff we're going to address in the future. But like, it might be because A, your shoulders are rounded. So if you can actually concentrate on pulling them back here, like actually firing these to keep it like stable, and you probably have tight pecs. And if you ever notice that those are super tight, then we can actually bring your spine just a little bit further in. Does that feel any better?
Fat.
Yeah. Tuck that rib cage down a little bit. This might be a little bit more difficult to fix than just like right now. But just go ahead and stand normal again. Alright, so basically we're gonna look at huh? It is hot here.
Jesus.
So you don't really have like a forward head lean. Like your eyes and ears are pretty similar. Your ears look like they sit naturally a little bit lower than your eyes anyway. Alright, your cervical spine, there's really no forward neck lean at all, which is really good.
What's that?
Doing a posture assessment. Be like another 15 minutes.
This dude.
He's good, he's good.
Oh.
Alright, so cervicothoracic junction, which is basically where your thoracic spine, your rib cage meets your cervical spine, which is this part right here. It doesn't look like you have any kind of bumps right there, which can turn into like wedge-shaped discs and give you like really, really like severe kyphosis, which is kind of what you have. It's where you round like this part of your back. Like, have you ever noticed that like your rib cage is like always tucked in? Like you kind of sit like this. That's what I mean by kyphosis. But yeah, like your shoulders are rolled a little bit forward. They might be a little slightly internally rotated, but that could all be due to these right here not being turned on. As soon as you turn those on, like try to pull your shoulder blades towards each other, like that all goes away. So like that can be an easy fix. But let's see. So you definitely roll forward in the shoulders. Rib cage is a little tucked. Let's see. So now your abdomen. We're gonna try to see if there's any pelvic tilt, and I can almost clearly see that your pelvis is more tilted forward than it is straight up, just because you've got this line right here. See what I'm saying? That's easy to tease out. It's easy to tease out. You typically have like tight hip flexors, right? You have that, and then you have like weak hip flexors too.
Yeah.
So strengthening those and loosening them up too will
How
help
do
you
I do
get.
that? More sticking them out like that? Or?
No, you don't have to stick them out. It's going to be a little process of stretching them out for one and then strengthening them for two. But it's relatively easy to like fix. Now we can check and see if you would you cross your arms in front of you, like hold your arms up. So I'm going to try to see this line. Alright, so it's like an imaginary line that's supposed to go straight through here. Straight through there and all the way down through here. It's a little curved. However, with those little fixes that we've been talking about, like that'll even itself out.
Okay.
Like it's not actually as bad as I thought it was going to be, which is fantastic. Okay, so you have seen that you do have a little bit of rotation of your pelvis. Your muscle bulk, like you don't have like, it doesn't look like you have a quad dominance or a like hamstring dominance, which is basically like this muscle group right here being a lot bigger than these, or this being a lot bigger than this. Doesn't look like you have that, which is pretty fantastic, especially if like, did you ever get in the weight room at all, like high school?
No. Not a lot.
Yeah, just like whenever.
Yeah.
Kinda. I got you. So it's actually not bad. So now we're looking to see how your knees sit. So actually they're not bad. Like you don't have any like excessive like lockout of your knees. Like you're not doing this right here whenever you stand. Like you're in a comfortable posture, and it's pretty much in line. And honestly, I think as soon as you fix your pelvis, like, it'll become more of a straight line, and that posture will actually even out quite a bit. Okay, so on to the next page. Alright, so your ankles now. So now we're just trying to see if your foot's a little bit rotated one way or the other. It looks like your feet rotate in a little bit, which means that you're kind of like this. So we work on actually like trying to not really lift the arch too much, but like just get that ankle in a better position. If that makes sense. Then your arches look perfectly fine, honestly. Like I don't see much of an issue with those at all.
What do you mean by turning my ankles?
But basketball players, like you guys tend to have like super stiff ankles. So like you guys lack the ability to actually like, you see what my ankles are doing right there? Where I can change the angle of my Achilles just by simply like unlocking one ankle or the other. You guys typically like court sport and field sport athletes typically like lose that ability to
Do that.
yeah, to actually be able to do that. Y'all get like locked in one place, and it's partially because of like ankle braces, which limit range of motion over time, and then constricting basketball shoes. Yeah, as far as that, like everything looked good. Okay, so now we're going for a front view. So if you were to rotate 90 degrees, awesome. Okay, so let's see, get me one picture right here. So your eyes and ears look pretty level. Like I said earlier, like I think your ears just naturally sit down a little bit more than your eyes because you don't really have any. Like you're not looking up.
Right.
Head position, it doesn't look tilted at all. Like it looks really good. Like it's not this way or that way. Muscle tone, like we were talking about earlier, like you don't have a lot to begin with,
Right.
but what you do, like it's even. There's nothing uneven. You probably have really tight pecs. Like that's probably an issue, and that's something that whenever I put your plan together, like we'll get into. Yeah, like even like abs, shoulders, like everything looks really even. Your shoulder level is still even, which is great. Your shoulders are a tiny bit like anteriorly rotated, which means that they're rotated forward. Like, but I think
So
once you get that out of the way, like once you rotate the scapulas back or protract the scapulas, like it actually takes care of that on its own. Let's see. Chest rotation, you don't have any. Carrying angle, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Like it's not bad. It's usually like plus or minus 15 degrees. But yours looks just fine. Like that's something I'll have to, basically the carrying angle is basically the angle of your thumbs. I believe. I have to look it up in the book again. But I'm pretty sure it's like the angle of like your wrist thumb. But it looks really good. Okay. So your arms, we already went over that they're a little bit internally rotated. Hands and wrists look okay. Your abdomen's level. From everything I can see, it's level. There's no pelvic tilt from one side or the other, which means like you're not standing like this, standing like this. You're good. Your pelvis is like a tiny bit anteriorly rotated, as we talked about in the back. Your stance, like everything looks really good. Like there's a straight line down from your knees all the way to your ankles, all the way up to your hips. So like everything looks good from there. Let's see. So that should be good. Okay. Muscle tone is the same on both sides. See, you're not bow-legged, you're not completely valgus, your knees aren't caving in, like you're not knock-kneed. So that's actually a bonus. Patellas, they're like clearly sitting in the middle as they're marked right here. Like they're clearly sitting in the middle. Like what we're trying not to see is a patella that's sitting over here or a patella that's sitting over here. That can end up with some pretty gnarly knee injuries later on down the road. If your Q angle actually looks like almost straight down the middle, like it looks like you have no Q angle whatsoever. There's no internal or external rotation of the knees. Tibial torsion. It doesn't look like you have any. Like, I'm pretty sure that if you were to stand like you were earlier, like if you were to adopt like your normal stance, yeah, you might have. I think you might have a little bit of tibial torsion right there. But again, like once we correct for it, like once you actually get to standing with like your feet straight or like 5 degrees apart or 5 degrees turned out, like that pretty much goes away. Let's see. Okay, so your ankles, we've already talked about your ankles being rotated a little bit in. One thing that we'll address is actually rotating those out just a little bit. It's gonna be a tough road, man. Like those ligaments, they're especially if you've ever
torn ligaments.
yeah. If you sprained one of those two, like you sprained both, I'm assuming you're a basketball player, so you guys
Yeah, I
do.
sprained both ankles. I tore ligaments in my left one.
Yeah. Okay. So that means you're gonna have a lot of scar tissue built up. So whatever position you adopted like after that was whatever you're gonna keep or whatever you were keeping at the time. So it's gonna be a little bit harder to change that. That might be the hardest thing we have to change.
Yeah.
See, you're not super flat-footed. Like the arches could come up a tiny bit probably, but as far as like collapsed arches, you don't have them. Like you're not like your bones aren't sitting on the floor, which is good. You actually still have that. Okay, so that's all for the frontal. I do want to get another picture of the ankles. Okay, so now we're going into a seated posture. So this will be the last part that we do. So yeah, you're gonna like, the reason I'm picking these stools is because you're gonna be watching a lot of film on these stools.
Yeah.
So we're gonna find out what posture you adopt whenever you get into this, like sitting on this stool. So just adopt something that's comfortable to you. Like how would you watch 40 minutes of film? Okay, so we're gonna start with like the head and neck position. Actually, can you turn? No, never mind. We're good. Actually, all I need to see from you is like a lateral view and a posterior view. So I need to see one from the side and one from the back. So whichever one you want to do first. Okay, so let's see. So your head and neck position. Like you're rounded a little bit with your shoulders, but as we discussed earlier, that'll be taken care of, assuming that you're cognizant of it while you're sitting. Your head and neck are around a little bit forward, but I think that'll take care of itself. And you got like a little bit of a curvature, like right here to here, and it just continues down, like an exaggerated curvature. But should be able to be taken care of. Little kyphosis, the shoulders rounded and rotation, like we talked about that earlier. You do have a little bit of a internally rotated shoulder. I don't think it's as bad like while you're sitting though, but I think it's because you're resting your hands on your feet or on your knees. Let's see, your knees. I mean, you're actually more varus than valgus. Varus means that your knees are out a little bit more so than like if you were to sit like this. Like that's more of a valgus position, but you're sitting in something that's a little bit neutral, honestly. Like it's not a bad position at all.
Not all the way out there. But
No, yeah, you're good right there. One thing that I would change, like on the spot, is having just like let your feet go. Like try to adopt that position right there, because you're looking for like your hip and knee being at 90 degrees. So your hips are about at 90 degrees right now, and so are your knees. So this is a pretty good posture right here. Once we take care of the back and the chest, you should be well on your way to getting a little bit better. All right, so if you would go ahead and swap around for me to the back. Okay, so now we're looking to see if your head is tilted one way or the other. So does not look like it is. Like your ears look really level right here. Shoulder height, they still look the same. There doesn't look like there's a little bit difference. It might be a little bit higher on your right, but we talked about that earlier. Let's see. So your thorax or your thoracic spine does not seem to be twisted. However, once you get to right here, and you feel my fingers like shifting a little bit, you might have a tiny bit of like, not really, I wouldn't call it scoliosis, but like your lumbar spine isn't completely going down in a straight line. Like it's probably, like that would be a straight line, and this is what it's doing. I think we should be able to fix that. Hopefully relatively easy. It might be because you like sat on a wallet. Whenever you wear pants, you wear a wallet, or you have a wallet typically.
Yeah.
One side always.
Yeah.
That could be why. So we might have you try to start carrying your wallet in like your front pocket. That might be it. Your feet are still turning out a little bit. You're adopting the same posture you had over here for your knees, which is great. Yeah, everything looks good. You're still at 90 degrees. So yeah, we should be done, sir. I appreciate everything today, Skid. We'll get those stickers off of you immediately.